Hey everyone, I am your astrologer Wonder Girl, helping you to live in tune with the natural cycles of the moon. This is your astrology horoscope for the full moon in Libra, which occurs on Saturday, April 16th, 2022 at 2:54 p.m. Eastern Time or 11:54 a.m. Pacific Time. Now, what I think is going on at this full moon in Libra is that actually a lot of good things are happening now to more completely get us on some new and better chapter in life that I've been talking about for quite some time. And we're learning actually how to handle these new and better things with clarity, I think with precision and in a more helpful and healthy way here as we move forward, especially I should note when it comes to relationships and integrating those into our better experience from here on out. So that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. If you want to hear more about that, please do stay tuned because I'm going to hop into it right now. In order to get started though, what I want to take a look at first is where it is on the chart and to place it there so that you can see what it is that I am referring to and follow along with me. So let me do that now. This video is for the full moon in the sign of Libra, and that's what this chart is set for. I know that this chart is set for the full moon because we've got the moon here, 26 degrees Libra, exactly opposite the sun here, 26 degrees Aries. Okay, when the moon opposes the sun, that is what is considered a full moon. What are full moons all about? Full moons are all about stepping into something that we have been working towards for quite some time, since that is when the moon is the furthest from the sun. Not only that, but I should also note too that in many cases full moons are also about illumination, bringing something to light or seeing something that perhaps we didn't see before as well, especially too because that is when the moon is the brightest in the sky as well. All right, now what are we stepping into more fully or that we've been working towards for a while or starting to understand more and bring more fully to light? That is going to be Libra because that's the sign that the moon is in. Okay, now what is Libra all about? Well, one thing I'll say about Libra is that it is a Venus ruled sign. Venus does tend to be a little bit of a slower planet in a lot of ways. So one of the things that I think is going on here that we're stepping into or getting more understanding about is that maybe we need to slow down in our situations, at least right now. Not a whole bunch, but just a tad. We need to slow down just a little bit. Why? Or what else does Libra indicate? Well, another meaning of Libra is that Libra does have to do with the harvest. It's the first sign of fall. And harvesting really to me has to do with receiving, and that's another Venus word, results of all your past actions and past things that it is that you've done. So what that means to me is that not only at this full moon in Libra are we realizing that maybe we need to slow down just a tad from whatever is going on in our lives, but we're realizing that we need to slow down just a tad so that we can more fully receive, be open to receive all of the results of all our past efforts and things that we've been working towards for quite some time here. Not only that, but I should also note as well that Libra, being an air sign, is a sign of assessing things, deliberating as well. So not only does that mean to me that this full moon in Libra is about us slowing situations down just a tad so that we can receive more of the results of our past efforts in a lot of ways, but so that we can better assess our situation and what we are and are not receiving, perhaps, and where things need to go, perhaps, after this point. Okay, not only that, but I should also note as well that Libra is the sign of the scales and is also a sign of balance too. So not only to continue bringing it together at this full moon, are we realizing that maybe we need to slow down just a tad to allow ourselves to receive more of the results of our past efforts and to assess it more accurately about our next steps. But I think we're also realizing we need to slow down as well so that we can just better regain our balance emotionally, especially because the moon is about our emotions, regain our balance within these situations, within whatever is going on with our lives and with whatever we're receiving in order to work with that better. Not only that, but again, Libra being an air sign, to me, the air signs are more cool, calm, and collected. So I think another reason why, and another thing that's going on at this full moon here is not only that we're slowing down just a tad to receive the results of our past efforts and to assess those more accurately and to center ourselves and balance our emotions. But I think we're also slowing things down so we can get our head on straight here and be a little bit more cool, calm, and collected here about our situations and what needs to occur. Not only that, but I think the next and the last thing that I'm going to say too about Libra is that Libra is, as we all mostly know, a relationship sign about partnering with other people, especially one-on-one. I think in most cases, both personal and professional. So not only is this full moon really about us realizing that maybe we need to slow down just a tad to receive the results of all our past actions and efforts, and to assess what's going on there more clearly, and to balance and center our emotions so that we can become more cool, calm, and collected. But I think we're also realizing too that we need to slow down just a teensy bit as well to figure out how to work with people now, and how to better integrate people into what we're receiving and into what is coming together, and how we can work with people one-on-one in a healthier, I think, and especially Libra, in a more fair and in a more just way for both parties involved here as we move forward in the ways that it is that we need. Okay, and that to me are the major big themes about this full moon in Libra. Before I move forward, though, to explain more specifically how those things are going to play out over the course of the days and week or so after this full moon, I do want to go backwards in time just for a minute before I move forwards. And I want to go backwards in time just for a minute here in order for me to give you more of the context here of how we got here and of why these themes that I've just described are now coming up to be felt, experienced, or lived through. Okay, so I'm going to do that. I should note I'm actually still, I think, going to go pretty far back in time. If you are not interested in this, please feel free to skip ahead in the video. I will put the chapters here to this video so that you can easily do that. But I'm going to go ahead and start. And I'm going to go ahead and start with something that happened between January and April. Let me write it on the chart here of 2020. Oops. January and April of 2020. Around that time, Jupiter, Pluto, and Saturn all came conjunct here in the sign of Capricorn, which is a rare alignment and also not a very pleasant one. What was that alignment about? That alignment was about us starting to realize or understand that there was something big, Jupiter, in the structure of our lives, Saturn, that was not that great, Pluto, that needed to change more permanently so that we could overcome old hard chapters of our life that I think had persisted for many years and decades prior to that point, since it takes Saturn and Pluto about 35 years to come conjunct. Okay, so it was us realizing that something wasn't right in our lives that needed to go, needed to change, needed to be worked through here. Okay, that went on there. But even though we realized in January to April of 2020 that something wasn't right and needed to be changed, I don't think we actually started to make the change until a few months later, actually October, Libra season here of that same year, 2020. And in October of 2020, I think something occurred in our lives to either motivate, trick, inspire us, whatever word you want to use, to finally make those changes that we knew we needed to make months earlier, but had been dragging our feet on, perhaps afraid to make for whatever reason. And because in October of 2020, something kicked us into gear here to get us going, we then in December of 2020 at a solar eclipse here in Sagittarius, we finally then started to make the moves to end an old chapter of life and possibly even bring new and better things into our lives to set us up for the next chapter as we move onwards. Okay, that then leads me now to January, right? January of 2021, all the way, I'm going to chunk it, all the way till June of 2021, which was a solar eclipse here in Gemini. Okay, what happened then? Well, in between January to June of 2021, we are in the process of trying to really embark on a new and better chapter in life and bring more better things together in the ways that it is that we needed. But even though we're in the process of embarking on a new and better chapter in life and making the changes for that to happen, I think we really struggled between January and June. And I think we really struggled to embark on a new and better chapter in life because I think we still had a lot of old mindsets and beliefs that were not abundant, that were a little depressing here, that were keeping us stuck in the past. I think maybe some of us had some addictions as well to old things. And I think there were also a lot of old stuff, people, places, jobs, things that hadn't been cut out of our lives that were still hanging around, that a lot of us were afraid to fully cut the cord on and move on from, that were also very, very difficult bringing us down. Okay. But even though that was very hard, I think by the time we got to June, and probably even a little bit before for an Aries season in April. But by the time we got to June of 2021, I think we finally had cut more of the old things out of our lives, especially in the physical here, that were bringing us down and that were preventing us from moving forward, which was good. Okay, but even though finally in June 2021, we came to terms with some of our demons here and cut some of the old bad things out of our lives that we didn't want, especially in the physical, I think as we started to move forward from June also to Libra season here in October of 2021, I think we realized that something still wasn't right. That even though we had cut the physical things, the people, places out of our lives, I think we realized in between June and October that we still hadn't healed the emotions enough and we still hadn't healed the mindset enough. And that even though we were in a different experience in life in the physical, we were recreating the old experiences with the new things because the emotions and the mindset was still stuck here and not allowing us to move forward fully. Because of that, we then, especially around October of 2021, there was a Mercury retrograde in Libra around that time. We then more fully realized here that we need to quit it on the self-sabotage. We need to quit it on the negative thoughts and emotions and unhelpful thoughts and emotions here that were not conducive to us moving forward. And I think we actually did address those here in very helpful ways. And because we finally, I think, not only kicked the physical things out of our lives, but also a lot of the negative emotions and mindsets that were keeping us down, we then I believe it was that next month, November of 2021, at a new moon in Scorpio, we then finally started to feel like the new and better chapter in life that we dreamed about in April of 2020 was coming more and more fully, more completely into existence. And Scorpio, our lives were completely transforming here to be this different and this better way that it is that we really wanted. But even though in November of 2021, I think finally things started to more fully and completely change and transform to be different and better, I think it came on a little bit too fast and too strong for a lot of us and for how much we were ready to handle. And because it came on too fast and too strong at that next full moon, also I believe in November of 2021, which was a lunar eclipse in Taurus, we realized we got to slow things way down. We have to slow things way, way, way down so that we can gain our stability here and make sure that we were doing things in the best way that resonated the most with our values and who we are. And I think us slowing things down at that time really helped a ton, especially with the next new moon, which was a solar eclipse in Sagittarius in December of that same year, 2021. And at that solar eclipse in Sagittarius in December, what I think happened is that we then not only started to get more in touch with what was the best step for us and to stabilize, but we also started to get more in touch with our intuition, with the divine, with God, spirit, universe, and with the higher realms to better get wisdom and understanding here about what was going on in our lives and about our next steps and about how to handle it and about the best way here in order to bring things together. And because we got some insight in December, finally, from our higher self and our intuition and the divine about what to do, we then get to January of this year, right? 2022. And in January of 2022, we finally then start to make more adjustments now from a healthier place. The stuff that really came to us back in November of the previous year, we finally start to make adjustments now from this healthier, more stable, more confident, more secure, more divinely inspired place to get some new and better chapter more completely on the road now. And I do think it started to come together. But even though it started to come together here, I don't think that it fully came together in the ways that it is that we needed. And that's because of the next new moon, which we had in February of this year, 2022. In Aquarius. And I think what we realized in February is that even though a lot of things had started to finally change to be new, different, and what we ultimately wanted them to be, that there were still one or two significant things that were still stuck here, that were not budging, that were not moving in the ways that it is that they needed and that we still felt trapped by. So we went to go ahead and to address those things, to get more things moving. And I do believe that we were able to do so. We were able to address the one or two things that were keeping us stuck. Because of that, we then got to the next new moon, which was in Pisces the month later in March of 2022. And I think what started to happen in March of 2022 is that finally the new experience and the new chapter in life started to come more fully in the way that we needed. And the old stuff finally started to go a lot, like tons more, a lot more, and to finally leave receive. But even though that happened, I think in March of 2022 and the new was finally coming, I think there is still some fear. I think there is still a lot of fear. I think there is still a lot of anxiety about it here, that it's never going to happen. I think there were just a lot of internal things that were feeling really off that were still preventing, if you can believe it, the new stuff from coming in its fullness in the way that it is, that it really needed to come and wanted to come. It was so close to coming, that was hard. And because finally the new chapter in life is knocking on our door, is finally about to complete, but we're still anxious and nervous and weirdly emotional and out of sorts. We then got the next new moon, April. What was that? This month. Yeah, earlier this month, 2 weeks ago, April 2022, right here, that new moon in Aries. And what we realized at that new moon in Aries was, no, we're not letting these little emotions here get us down, especially the negative ones from a new and better chapter in life. So what we realized at that new moon in Aries is we got to nip these emotions in the bud. We got to protect ourselves. We got to make ourselves feel safe, and we got to do what's best for us to get ourselves in shape so that this new and better chapter in life can get on the road now and can stop wasting time here and stop hesitating and stop being delayed and actually occur. And you know what? I think we did a damn good job of that, especially over the past 2 weeks. Here, Aries kicking us into shape. I think we did a damn good job at finally protecting ourselves, making us feel safe, and getting new and better things here to start to more fully complete the new chapter in life, to complete, to solidify, to come together. And because finally new and better experiences, I think, are around and have been around, especially over the course of the past 2 weeks, we now get this new moon in Libra, full moon in Libra, which is what this video is for. And what we're doing now at this full moon in Libra is we're slowing down, not a lot, just a tad, slowing down just a tad, these new and better experiences that are finally coming and completing, and we're slowing them down just a tad so that we can be open to receive. Be open to receive, hear more of the results without double stepping them here, and so that we can better assess what is and is not happening, what is and is not working, and where we need to go next, and so that we can better balance our emotions, remain cool, calm, and collected, and figure out next what to do with relationships, right? And how to bring the relationships into the picture now that we ourselves are good, are protected, have worked ourselves out, and are ready to move forward 100% without this old stuff bringing us down any longer, okay? And that's it. That's all that I want to say there, because that's all I'm going to give you now in terms of the context. I'm just going to repeat all of those things one more time without the astrological jargon so that you can get hopefully a better idea of what is going on here. So let me do that now. What I think is going on at this full moon in Libra is that a lot of good things now are starting to happen to more fully get us on some new, different, and better chapter of life here, and to bring things together, which is very nice. And because a lot of good things are happening and we're ready, I think we're slowing things down just a tad so that we can receive more of the good things here, assess what is and is not happening here, regain our balance and our center here, and figure out how to maneuver them forward in a more cool, calm, and collected kind of way, especially with people, and how to work them into the picture now that we're feeling stronger and more healthy. Okay. And I think that's it. I think that's what I want to say there. Because that's it, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into more of the specifics about this full moon in Libra and how it's going to play out and what's going on here. So let me do that. And to go into the specifics, I'm going to go through some of the particular astrological aspects that are happening at this time period and that the full moon itself is making. Okay, the first one that I want to talk about is actually going to be a larger alignment here, and that it is aspecting the full moon, but I'm going to start here, and that's with Jupiter and Neptune currently in a conjunction here in the sign of Pisces. Why do I want to start with this alignment? I want to start with this alignment because this is a big deal. This is a big deal. Why is this alignment a big deal? It's a big deal, first of all, because it's very rare, all right? Jupiter and Neptune only come conjunct about every 13 years, and it takes them even longer to come conjunct in one sign, okay? Because Neptune kind of has a longer orbit. That's a bit strange, especially in the sign of Pisces, where both Jupiter and Neptune love to be. They're both at home there, meaning they function excellently exceptionally well there. A matter of fact, the last time Jupiter and Neptune came conjunct in Pisces, a sign they both love, was in 1856, which is over a century ago, which no one alive on the planet has experienced. So this is a very rare alignment here, and not only a very rare one, but beautiful, bringing very positive things with both of these planets enjoying it. What is the good thing going on here? Well, where do I want to start? Let's talk about a few things. Pisces is a lot about the past, and Neptune is a lot about releasing things. So what is this bringing? The releasing of old things, especially old things that have been difficult and that have had us very emotional in a negative way as well. Not only is it about that, but I should also note too that Pisces is also about healing, especially emotional healing. So this is bringing releasing of old hard things and a lot of good emotions, emotional healing. Not only that, but Jupiter is a lot about wisdom and understanding. So not only is this bringing releasing of old things, more emotional healing, but it's bringing tons of wisdom and understanding about what we've been through, I think, from the past, who we are now, what's important to us, and where we want to go next. Not only that, but I should also note too that both Neptune, Jupiter, and Pisces are symbols of trust, hope, and faith, especially in the divine, in something greater than ourselves or in our intuition. So not only is this alignment bringing a releasing of old hard things and old hard emotions and the healing of that and more wisdom and more perspective here, that's better, but it's bringing more trust, hope, and faith that God has got our back, that the divine has got our back, and that we are going to be okay here. Not only that, I also consider Jupiter a symbol of optimism as well, so we're starting to feel more optimistic too. Not only that, but the last thing, and perhaps the more interesting thing here, is that I do consider this to be an alignment of gifts and good luck. Jupiter being the planet of that, coming to us perhaps from the past, yes, because Pisces is a sign of that, but also just gifts from the divine, manifesting, I think, in physical form in a lot of ways in order to move us forward. Okay, and that's the first thing that I want to start with, I guess, to set the stage. At this full moon in Libra, what is going on is very rare, beautiful things, very rare, beautiful things, very significant and very big, right? Jupiter is the biggest planet in the solar system, very rare, beautiful, big blessings, internal blessings to heal and release old things, and physical blessings to experience new, better things in the physical and to bring new and better things into our lives that we have not experienced in our lifetime here. That's very, very, very nice. Okay, I love that. But even though I love that, I do need to note that this alignment is in a quincunx here to the full moon, which is in Libra. And a quincunx here is not an easy aspect. A quincunx is a bit difficult. And it's a bit difficult because this is an aspect between two planets and two signs that do not see eye to eye. They just don't function similarly in a lot of ways. Why is that? Well, the Jupiter-Neptune Pisces alignment that I just noted to is actually a very emotional alignment. Emotional in a good way, yes. Okay, but it's a very emotional alignment with Pisces being a water sign, and Libra is not emotional, right? It needs to be a little detached so it can be cool, calm, collected, assess the situation. So what does that mean to me? To continue bringing it together, it means to me that at this full moon in Libra, a lot of good things are happening that have not happened, I think, in our lifetimes to propel us forward in some new and different, better way in life, a new and different and better chapter that's more healed, that's more in tune with our soul, and that feels more divinely inspired with lots of support from the divine. But even though lots of good things are in fact happening, I think it's a little bit difficult for us to find the balance, and to remain cool, calm, and collected throughout these experiences. Not because they're bad, not because bad things are going on, but because they're good and we're excited. So many good things now going on, and it's hard for us to separate from that feeling, especially when I don't think good things have really happened to us in this way for a very long time, if ever. Okay, not only is that going on as well, but I also need to note too, this first This full moon in Libra is also making a square over here to Pluto as well in Capricorn. And this is also a very difficult alignment as well, similarly, because Pluto is involved. And Pluto is a very emotional planet as well, being naturally correlated to Scorpio. So what does that mean to me? It means to me, yeah, we are trying so hard to slow things down and to keep our balance amidst a lot of things now changing in our life, but very hard to do so because a lot of very strong, intense feelings here about what is going on, which I think are mostly positive. Okay, are mostly positive. What else do I want to note? Not only is this going on, but I should also say another thing happening as well is not only is the moon squaring Pluto, but of course the sun is squaring Pluto at the same time, right? Because the moon and the sun are in an opposition with each other. And what is this bringing? Well, the way that I'm going to interpret Pluto, or have been interpreting Pluto this time around, is there's a sense of uncertainty, right? Because Pluto is about permanent change. And with Pluto about to be at the last degrees of Capricorn, well, now and into next year, things are on the cusp of changing very dramatically in our lives, but I still don't think that they have fully changed yet. And I think there's still some uncertainty yet about how some more things are going to come together, okay? Which is also creating sometimes some fear with the Pluto and some worry and some anxiety. So to continue to bring it together here, because this is a significant thing about this full moon, I think I need to explain better, is that what is going on so far at this full moon is that so many beautiful things are occurring that have not, I don't think, occurred in our lifetimes to get us on some new, different, and better chapter in life that we've been working towards for quite some time, which is very, very nice. But even though a lot of good things are occurring and we're very excited about those things, we do not know fully how they're gonna end up, because they're still in the process of occurring in order for us to move forward. And because there's so many good things going on that haven't fully completed yet and solidified and come together, and because there's still some uncertainty and unknown about it, even though we're excited, we're finding it really hard to find our balance, to remain cool, calm, and collected, and yes, to figure out the relationship component and how to work that into the picture here as well. Okay, not only is that going on at this full moon in Libra, but we also do have Mercury here coming into a conjunction with Uranus and Taurus as well. This is also a tad bit of a challenging thing here because Uranus is in Taurus, and Uranus doesn't really care to be in Taurus. It doesn't like to be there, and Mercury doesn't really help that much in this instance either, since Mercury doesn't really have any dignity in Taurus as well. So this is also a very difficult thing. What is the difficult thing here? Well, Mercury has to do with the way that we think and communicate with ourselves and other people. Uranus has to do with the sudden and unexpected, and Taurus, when negatively aspected, has to do with instability and insecurity. So what does that mean to me to continue bringing it together? We're trying to remain cool, calm, and collected amidst a lot of new and better things that are going on in our lives here, but it's hard for us to do it because we're so excited about this new stuff that's going on and because it hasn't fully completed yet. And there's still some unknowns and uncertainties. And because there's a lot of uncertainty and unknown, and it's hard for us to keep our cool. We're anxious, we're nervous, we're worried, and some of us are unexpectedly, I think, devolving, if you will, back into doubt, back into insecurity about a lot of things, and as a result, communicating in weird ways with yourself, with other people that may not be the most helpful, or perhaps other people are communicating with you in weird ways and giving you uncomfortable, unexpected news. Not because they don't like you, not because these things don't want to work. It's because of fear. It's because of fear. It's because of insecurity that could be going on here that could just feel a bit uncomfortable and unpredictable. All right. And not that pleasant. But even though that is difficult, okay, those things are difficult, I will say I am extremely encouraged that we're going to be able to handle this like a pro. We're going to be able to handle this like a pro. Okay. Why would I say that? Well, the reason why I would say that is because this Mercury, one of the reasons why this uncomfortable Mercury-Uranus alignment here in Taurus is making a sextile to Venus and Pisces at the same time. And Venus is exalted in the sign of Pisces. It loves to be there. It functions better there than anywhere else. At the same time, we have another rare and fortunate alignment also going on here in the sign of Pisces. And a sextile I always interpret in a helpful way, no matter which planets are involved. So what does that mean to me? Well, it means to me that, yeah, we're trying to remain cool, calm, and collected, and we're trying to figure out how to work relationships into this better chapter in life, and we're struggling because we're very excited about everything that's going on, and there's a lot of uncertainty about it all, which is making us doubt and communicate in weird ways and think weird things and receive weird news unexpectedly, which is uncomfortable. But even though that's the case, we are finding a way to remain Taurus grounded. We are finding a way to remain Taurus confident despite a minor setback, despite a brief doubt and insecurity. We are able to remain or regain any confidence that we briefly, unexpectedly lost, and any stability here about our situations and the ways that we need. Not only that, but Pisces is a lot about trust, hope, and faith. So not only are we able, I think, to retain confidence amidst what's going on here, but we are also able to retain trust, hope, and faith that things are going to work out, and a connection to the divine here and to our intuition here about what needs to happen and how it needs to occur. Not only that here, but again, Pisces is about the divine realms. We also continue to feel supported by the divine despite our little lapse in judgment and thought, whatever it is. We are able to continue to feel supported by the divine emotionally and spiritually, but also with little tiny gifts and synchronicities appearing in the physical. Not only that, here, but I think we're also flexible, right? Flexible. Pisces is a mutable sign where a lot of planets are. We're also able to remain flexible, limber here, adaptable as these things happen, so that this little tiny doubt or weird news, uncomfortable news that we may receive doesn't get the best of us and doesn't get us down. Okay. That's very, very, very nice. Not only that, Pisces is a sign of compassion, right? And Venus is about relationships. So we're also able to remain kind and compassionate towards ourselves, but also to other people, and to give ourselves and other people the benefit of the doubt, and to not judge ourselves too harshly here as we move forward, which I think is very, very, very good, helping us, Libra, keep our head in the game, especially because the ruler of the full moon, Libra, Venus, is exalted in Pisces, helping us now, I think, to rebalance our emotions, to get more sensible, to get our head back in the game, to get our head on straight, and to start to feel better the way that it is that we need in order to move forward. Not only that, but this full moon in Libra also makes a trine over here to Saturn in Aquarius. And when Saturn is by positive aspect, like a sextile and sometimes a trine, here I do consider Saturn to actually be a symbol of stability. Saturn to me is like the glue. It's like the glue that keeps things together. Instead of them falling apart and being a mess, Saturn can lend an air of stability to things and firmness. And I think that's also what is going on here, especially with Saturn in Aquarius, an air sign, being another indicator here that not only are we able to recover very quickly, I think, and easily from this little insecurity, weird news, lapse in judgment, doubt, from all this anxiousness and uncertainty and excitement, but that we're able to do it quite nicely. I should say, once we tap into the intuition, once we find our calm, we're able to do it quite nicely here in a way that helps us to feel more solid, more together, see our situation more clearly in the ways that it is that we need, so that we can feel better and, yes, start to work with people, and work with people not from a place of anxiety and insecurity and codependency, but to work with other people from a stronger place now, where we feel more certain about who we are and what we need, and we're able to stand up for that and assert that in healthier ways, being kind to other people, to bring more things together from here on out. And not only that, but maybe I'll add one more thing. And not only where we feel able to remain cool, calm, and collected, and to work with other people, but also I need to note to make more changes in our lives. To make more changes, because there's more that needs to be done. I do feel it. To make more changes in our lives, mostly with relationships. I feel what's left is a relationship thing. To make more changes now with relationships here, possibly money. Yes, money too. It's a relationship and money thing. With relationships here and with money, in order for us to feel set, especially too because Saturn, I need to note this, is still in a square with the nodal axis right here. If you watched my last video for the new moon in Aries, I talked about Saturn squaring the nodal axis as being a need to protect yourself from downfall or whatever that may eventually occur. But that was more so when Mars was there, Saturn and Mars. This is now about making decisions, Saturn, to change, with the resolution node being the south node, to make more decisions, to change more things with relationships and money from a clearer, stronger approach now to bring more things together. New relationships, fix old things from the past, and the ways that it is that we need, that's going to work. Okay, that's going to work so that once that is done with the North Node in Taurus, we can settle more into these things and work with what we got and stabilize them from here on out. Okay, and I think that's it. I think that's all that I have planned to say for this full moon in Libra. Because that's it, I'm now just going to repeat all of those things one more time without the astrological jargon so you can get a better sense of what I think is going on here. So let me do that now. What I think is going on at this full moon in Libra is that we are really trying to retain. Well, we're really trying to slow our situations down and find some balance within our situations and within our lives, especially now that we're stepping into a new and better chapter in life so that we can better assess it and handle it more effectively and integrate people into it in a more healthy way. But even though we are trying to slow down our situations here and assess them more healthily, more clearly, and work with other people, I think that we are finding that very, very difficult to do early on. I think we're finding it very difficult to do because there are a lot of good things that are starting to happen now, and because we're very excited about all of those things and feeling quite good about it. I also think it's hard to do as well because I think there's still a lot of uncertainty about these new things that are coming together and how they're going to fully play out, since I don't think they're completed yet. Not only is finding the balance and integrating people into these situations and slowing down hard to do because there's a lot going on that we're excited about, and because it hasn't fully completed and we're uncertain about how it's going to end up, but also because I think that is making us suddenly and unexpectedly devolve into negative self-talk, momentarily, some kind of doubt, some kind of insecurity, which is making us think or communicate in weird ways, or other people are feeling doubtful and insecure and saying weird, unexpected things to us that are not helpful here. And that can be a bit of a challenge. All right. That's making things very hard. But even though we're trying to maintain this balance and work with people, but it's very difficult to do so, I think that we're actually suddenly and unexpectedly able to get a handle on this, able to get a handle on our own insecurities here, and able to get a handle on any unexpected, uncomfortable news that we may have received. And I think we're able to get a handle on it very, very extremely positively by regaining our confidence very quickly and by regaining our trust and hope and faith in God, in our intuition, in the divine, in the spiritual realms, in order to carry us through, by being flexible with our situations and however they're going to play out here, by also trusting our intuition as well, and by being compassionate to ourselves and to other people here as we maneuver things forward. And us finally regaining that confidence and trusting in the intuition and being flexible here then allows us to get our head back in the game, to balance our emotions, I think, quite nicely here, and to make better decisions with more precision now and more clarity, especially with relationships and money, about what more needs to change now from a healthier place, now that we're healthier, stronger, and more clear-headed, to more fully bring a new and better chapter in life together, so that after that next new moon, solar eclipse in Taurus 2 weeks from now, we can settle into these new and better things here and make them more solid and make them more grounded and work with them to make them the best they can be and more fertile and more abundant. Okay, and that's it. Okay, that's all that I think is going on there that I want to say. Is there anything else that I want to note? Yeah, I have a few, I think I have like 3 or 4 notes that I want to mention right now before I do some other things. The first thing that I want to say is, how do we remain calm, right? There's something that I mentioned when going over the aspects that we do all of a sudden figure it out. We do all of a sudden figure out here how to remain calm and balanced, and how to work with people after a little bit of a lapse in clarity, a lapse in judgment. How do we all of a sudden figure out how to remain balanced and calm? I think that's maybe two things. I think the first thing here is that we just remain confident like in ourselves and who we are, and remind ourselves like how much better we're becoming and stronger we're becoming. Not only that, but I think we also trust and have faith more in the divine and in our intuition and what is being said through those channels here, and we start to honor more of that more fully. So I want to note this here because I said it kind of quickly. Maybe some of you glossed over it, or maybe it came out that way. So that's why I want to note it here. The reason why we're all of a sudden feeling more calm, I think, out of nowhere, is because we're retaining our confidence and trusting our intuition, which are hugely key. So if some of you are really struggling, right? The reason why I say this is because if some of you are really struggling with this full moon in Libra, you need to go back to these two things. You need to go back to believing in yourself and affirming yourself here. And you need to go back to trusting and having faith here that what you're going to do is going to be fine, that God has your back, and on trusting your intuition and whatever that is telling you. And those things here, those two or three things, are going to then help you remain cool, calm, and collected and move forward in the ways that it is that you need to make more change. You need to make more adjustments here to not stay put, to make more change in the way that you need from a balanced place. Okay, what else do I want to note? Another thing that I want to note is that even though those things I just mentioned are going to be helpful and should be consciously cultivated, especially if you're really struggling with this full moon in Libra, but I want to note too that I do believe that it's going to actually happen pretty naturally here and pretty easily. So even though some of you may need to cultivate it, I do think that if you've been tracking with my other horoscopes here, that this should be a natural process for you, where you naturally start to feel like you got it going on and like you're going to be fine and like you can handle it, and where you start to be more trusting in the divine here and listening more to your intuition. Why do I feel that for the majority of you, if you've been tracking with my other horoscopes, that this should be a natural thing? Well, one, because I do believe that good things are going on here. I do believe that something good is happening in your life in some way, shape, or form, or is about to happen very soon if it has not occurred already, especially as Venus gets to this very beautiful, blessed Jupiter-Neptune conjunction, with Venus being exalted here in the sign of Pisces, and with Mars about to make its way there too. Okay, and you know what? When good things are going on, even if you're emotional, it's easier to feel more balanced. When bad things are going on, that's when it's hard. When bad things are going on, that's when your emotions are all over the place. But when good things are going on, it's easier to feel better, right? To remain balanced in the ways that you need. Not only do I think it's happening naturally because good things are going on, but I also think it's happening naturally too because I don't think that good things have gone on to this caliber in a very long time, or at all in our lifetimes, especially since Neptune and Jupiter has not occurred at all in our lifetimes. A beautiful, very beautiful, rare alignment that last happened in 1856. A matter of fact, what I think has been going on in a lot of our lives for a very long time is that we have been stockpiled with bad situations and with bad emotions that are not in alignment with our truth. So us all of a sudden having good emotions and good things happen is not only easier for us to maintain our balance with because they're good things, but these big good things going on are the perfect counterweight, right? If Libra's about the scales balance, these beautiful, big, good things going on are the perfect counterweight to even out a lot of the old bad experiences that it is that we've had, so that now we're somewhere in the middle, somewhere where we need to be. So I think that's another reason why I think for the majority of you, this should not be a struggle. This should not be an issue. For the majority of you, you're going to have a little bit of doubt, a little bit of fear, a little bit of overwhelm, a little bit of insecurity. Maybe someone's going to communicate something unexpectedly weird to you, and you're going to be like, it's fine, I got this. It's fine. It's fine. I can handle this. I can handle this. It's good. Things are going to work themselves out. They're already working themselves out. I'm feeling better now. It's good. I'm going to move on. I'm going to figure it out. We're going to work together. You know, it's going to be easy. So I think that's what I want to note. And other reason why I think this is going to happen naturally too is because we've been in a process of healing over the course of the past year in particular, but I think longer than that. As we've been cutting things out of our lives, people, mindsets, emotions, we have been in a process of healing. When you start to heal emotionally, right, old hard things, and return back to homeostasis within yourself, it gets easier to keep cool, calm, and collected in these situations in the way that it is that you need. So I think that that's also an important point here to note. That yes, remaining confident in yourself and in your abilities to maneuver these things and flexible and trusting of the divine and of your intuition and more compassionate needs to happen and should be consciously cultivated if it's not happening, but that I think it's going to happen pretty easily for a lot of you because we've been healing and now we're more healed, and because these are good things going on, and it's the perfect counterweight here in order for us to move to rebalance all these old things that have been going on for a very, very long time. So I think that's the reason why. I think another reason too that I need to note is I think now we're finally finding ourselves in a new chapter in life and figuring out who we are in it, if you will, especially with Pluto getting to the last degrees of Capricorn here, and after a new moon in Aries, and with Chiron now kind of familiar with like how with Aries kind of familiar about how the Chiron thing is working there. So, and Aries has a lot to do with like our identity and how we approach and assert ourselves in the world. So I think another thing too is that I think we're now finally starting to get it. We're now finally starting to get that this new and better chapter in life is not about doing things that we should do, that are expected of us, that we've been told we should do, that is traditionally done by institutions and by organizations here, and by pushing our emotions aside. I think we're finally starting to realize after this new moon in Aries that the new and better chapter in life is only going to be new and better if we trust the intuition, if we honor the emotions here, and if we bring those to the forefront, because that's what the new and better chapter in life is all about. And I think us too finally getting it, the lights coming on, and us saying, oh yeah, the whole point about me having a new chapter in life is the emotions. Like, how can you have a better chapter in life if there's no emotional import, if there's no emotional feeling about anything that's kind of like that is the point here. And so I think because we're finally getting that, like the emotions and the intuition is what needs to come back to life and what needs to be honored here, I think it's also helping us not get so startled by the emotions and to see them as a healthy, beautiful thing here that's actually very positive, a positive compass here to help us guide our steps and to move us forward from here on out. So I think that's what I want to note. Okay, the other perhaps last thing, maybe I'll have a few other things to say, but the other thing I want to point out too is about relationships, right? I did talk a little bit about relationships over the course of this video so far, but I want to talk a little bit more specifically about that here and about how that relates to a bunch of other things going on, because Libra is a relationship sign. So I want to talk about that. What do I want to say here? This is what I want to say. I want to say that there is a lot about this Libra full moon that is about us personally, right? That is about us personally regaining our balance and our trust and hope and faith in life and in good experiences and remaining cool, calm, and collected throughout these good things that are happening. And that is true. And I do think that that should be the forefront of the focus, right? Especially because we just had a new moon in Aries, which is really about us and not about relationships, who we are as individuals here. And because Aries is the first sign of the zodiac, okay, which comes before relationships. How can we work with relationships if we ourselves are not set, if we ourselves don't know who we are, aren't stable, aren't secure, are a mess? You know, how can we do it? So another point that I want to note here is that relationships are indicated at this full moon in Libra, but the individual work needs to come first. We need to get ourselves set here in order for us to move on, which I do think that it is that we're doing this time period. But once this full moon, we get ourselves set, once it clicks, when we're like, okay, I need to be confident, I need to have trust and faith, and I can do this. And I'm not going to get lost in this doubt like I used to get lost. I'm going to be able to pick myself up pretty quickly. Once that occurs and clicks within you, then you go to relationships. Then there is a need to work things out with people. Okay, then there is a need to figure out how the relationships interface with your new life, with your new self, and to retool them, change them here, I think, in a better way that's going to be more conducive to the new you and the new life. Okay, now that you're better, because relationships are made out of two equal partners, right? Two people. That's Libra, fair and balanced, the scale. Relationships are not made out of one person who's well and the other person who's totally lost, and one person who's this. No, relationships need some sort of, they don't have to be exactly balanced, but some sort of balanced weight here. So then we go to relationships to work things out. What else do I want to say about that once we make that switch and go to relationships? Well, a few things I want to say about that is that I do think relationships are one of the last pieces to come together, okay? If you've listened to what I said earlier in this video, I talked about January, February, and March. If you watched it when I went over the context of this time period, and I said in January, February, and March of this year, the new and better chapter in life started to more completely come together, but there's still a few things, right, that haven't come together. What is the last few things that haven't come together? I think it's probably a bunch of different things, but I think the one thing that stands out the most is that the last part of the equation is probably relationships for the most of you. If we were talking scraping the bottom of the barrel, if we're talking last step, last step, I think relationships are it. And I think that's what's going on here as well. So maybe just to, bring this portion together here. What I think is going on is that this full moon in Libra first is about us kicking the insecurity, kicking the doubt, getting ourselves set and confident and trusting and hopeful and listening to our intuition first, which I do think we do because we're healed and stronger now and because good things are happening. And then we go to relationships, also to work them out now, to figure them out and how they fit into this equation here. And the relationships to me feel like the last piece of the puzzle, the last step now before things complete. Another thing I want to note as well is that not only do relationships feel like the last piece of the puzzle here, but they are still a piece of the puzzle, right? So it's not that we're ignoring relationships. I want to note that I think relationships need to be worked out, need to be renegotiated, changed before we can feel whole. So I do see the self and relationships having a complex, I don't know, complex is the word, having a very intertwined relationship, right? We get ourselves set, we feel good, then we work with relationships now that we're set to figure out how to integrate them together. Then third step, then the new chapter completes. The new chapter finally, the last, scraping the bottom of the barrel, finally the new chapter completes and we feel good. Good about ourselves, good about our lives, and now good about our relationships, because relationships are an important part of the pie, part of the puzzle here. Very significant, especially with Libra being a cardinal sign here, that needs to occur in order for us to move forward, okay? Because I think if we don't work things out with relationships, there's going to be something left missing. Okay, something with relationships needs to come together. All right, what else do I want to say here about relationships? Other things I want to note about relationships. I do think that when you first start to work with relationships, whatever you want to do now to finally complete the last piece of the puzzle, the new chapter in life, there does look like a weird communication with relationships. Okay, whenever you go back, it does look a bit awkward. I will say that there does look like some weird thing once you start to work with relationships here. It could be a weird thing on your end. Maybe you say something weird to another person or start weird or just awkward. Maybe it can be someone else is weird towards you. That could come up. Maybe also it's not the most tactful, right? Not only could it just be like a weird thing when you start to work with relationships, but it cannot be tactful. You could not say something in the right way. Someone could not say something to you in the right way. There can be like a little bit of like some weird miscommunication that could go on at first, that could perhaps be a bit unexpected or a bit startling. But even though that could happen at first, here with a relationship you're working something out with, hold on. I also want to note too, it could be a bit money related, especially not for all of you, could be a bit money related with the Taurus influence. But even though that could happen at first, I'm very, 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 very 100% optimistic that these things are going to turn out just fine. And that after an initial awkward encounter or difficult encounter, or maybe little bit of uncomfortable, startling news, things are going to be just fine. And not only are they going to be just fine, they're going to be better than I think you could have expected, to be honest with you. Why do I think that? Well, Libra is about relationships, and it's about good relationships, okay? That where people are not emotional, where people are not yelling, screaming, angering. Libra, cool, calm, and collected. Deliberate, negotiate, positive. Not only that, but the ruler, again, of this full moon in Libra relationships is Venus, because Libra correlates to Venus, and it's here in Pisces, exalted in Pisces. Sure, Pisces and Libra quincunx, so it doesn't matter. Venus still likes Pisces. Why does Venus like Pisces? Kindness, compassionate, sensitivity. So yeah, I think for a lot of you, there could be, when you start to work with people, a little bit of a weird encounter at first. I think they may say something uncomfortable, stupid, insensitive. You might do it. Maybe an issue with the money is going on here. But even though it may start weird, it's going to end good, and it's going to end better than you expected. Why? Venus, Pisces. People want to be nice. People want to be kind. They don't want to be nasty, especially now that we're stronger, right? When we're stronger as individuals, we're nicer to people. Myself is good. Now I can deal with you. When I'm not good, it's harder to deal with people because you're not fine. So people want to be nicer now. They want to be compassionate. They're feeling stronger. People are going to work out with you well. Not only that, but you got to trust your intuition, right? The divine is on your side with the Pisces influence, with the Venus, Jupiter, Neptune. I think people are going to be listening to their intuition, and I think Spirit's going to be speaking to them and giving them very either positive news or helping them work with you to smooth things over. People are going to be apologetic. And I also think too, people are going to be solutions oriented with the Pisces, even with the Aquarius, to really try to figure out how to maneuver things forward in not an argumentative kind of way, but in a more helpful, constructive, solution oriented, diplomatic kind of way to make better sense of what's happening here. So that's another thing that I need to note. Deal with yourself first. And once you're good, which I think you're going to be naturally, then go to relationships, because they're the last piece of the puzzle and they're important. The last thing that you need I think really need to do in order for things to complete. It may start out weird. Don't get stuck by that. It may start out weird, but it's going to turn out okay. People are going to be nice. Things are going to come together. People are going to try to help you. If there's an unexpected roadblock with finances, they're going to work around it, or you're going to find another way. It's going to be fine there, okay? Know that. Another thing I want to say about the relationships is why. Why is there an uncomfortable exchange at the very beginning? Once you do work with a person, I think it's a lot of the stability. It comes back to the stability, the security, the faith in the intuition. Why is there a weird exchange at the very beginning when you start to work with people? I think it's because this strength that now we're starting to find to regain our confidence easily and to have more trust and faith. I think that's a newer thing. I think it's a newer thing that we haven't exhibited that frequently recently in our lives, and especially not years ago, months and years ago. So why is there a little of a weird interchange at the beginning? Because now we're working with people from a healthier place and from a place of more strength, when that wasn't the way we used to operate for many times prior to this with relationships, and when maybe that wasn't the way we interacted prior with the same relationship that we're trying to work things out now, because this could be someone from the past that you're dealing with. So I think there's also a little bit of that going on too, of like, I'm now stronger. I wasn't before. This is so different for me. You haven't seen me this way, but this is how we need to do things. I think it's also a bit weird too, an awkward interchange as well, because I think we're still getting used to listening to the intuition, right? I think the intuition is a new thing too. And I think the intuition needs to be trusted 100%. I think the intuition is on point. And I think that's also a new thing as well, of us saying, not only am I not used to being in relationships in a stronger way, especially not with you, especially if I wasn't the other way a long time ago, but now my intuition is like weirdly telling me to do this thing. I don't know how you're gonna respond. It's so weird, but this is strange. I have never asserted my intuition in this way. So I think there's also some weirdness there that's coming in, because when you haven't acted on an inkling, acted on intuition in a consistent, full manner ever in your lifetime or in a very long time, it is strange to do it the first time, especially if other people aren't used to that either. Another reason why I think there's these awkward interchanges here at the very beginning is not only because we ourselves are getting used to asserting ourselves in this different way that's stronger and listening to our intuitions, but you have to remember the people we're dealing with are also people experiencing this too. So I think the people that we're dealing with are also in a similar boat where they're also stepping more into their intuition and stepping more into their self-worth and their balance as well. And so I think it's just a little awkward at first as the both of you, personal or professional, whatever it is for you, get on the same page. As the both of you get on the same page here and figure out, okay, this is what you're doing. This is how you are now. Okay, well, and this is how you've changed. Okay, well, this is where I am, and this is how I've changed. And there's a little bit of figuring that out. You know, it takes a minute. But if there's any sign that can do it, the Libra can do it, right? Being about fair relationships and being a masculine sign. Libra is ruled by Venus, which is technically a feminine planet in many cases, but Libra is a masculine sign. And the way I make sense of that is dealing with relationships is not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. You need a thick skin to deal with relationships a lot of times. That's not as emotional. And now we're stronger here, and now we're able to do it, to navigate different interests, different needs, different values, and figure things out in the best way in order to move forward. Now we're ready. And the Libra, to me, being a masculine relationship sign here, is not afraid to be like, okay, you're going to say something a little stupid to me at first, like a little insensitive. You're going to come on a little weird. It's fine. Like, I'm not going to get emotional about it. We got a deal to make here. We got a deal to make. To me, Libra has a lot to do with sales. Like, all the Libra moons I know are in sales. We got a deal to make here. We got to figure things out. Okay. You know, like, let's negotiate what this is without getting distracted by a lot of these other things that are going on here. So I think that there's something there to be said. Okay. Anything else that I want to note? Sure. Are these things with relationships that we're working out old or new? Are they old relationships? Are they new relationships? $1 million question. I think a lot of them are new relationships. Okay. I think a lot of them are new relationships, I should note. So I think a lot of the things that you're working out with people at this time are a lot of new people in your life here that you recently met in order to bring things together. So maybe that's another reason creating the weirdness is that you don't know these people super well. So I need to note that. Why do I feel like these are new people that you're just meeting and working things out with, like in the past few weeks in particular? I think that these are new people because, again, we're stepping more fully into a new and better chapter in life, and the new and better chapter in life came since January, you know? So I do think that these are new people that have recently come into our lives since January, especially because I think a lot of these old people needed to go. These old people need to go. And I think you kicked a lot of them out. Thank goodness. And so because now a lot of old people needed to go and you've kicked them out, I think that these are mostly new people that you're dealing with. Could there be, though, some old people still lingering? Sure. Jupiter and Neptune is around here, obviously is happening, and it's in Pisces, and Pisces is about the past. So could these be that you're also dealing with some people from the past as well to work things out with from a stronger place? Sure. If they are people from the past, though, however, there needs to be an important caveat here. These are people that either you never really started anything with, I think, that are just less, you have less history with. I think while you've been working on yourself and figuring things out, that now you're more certain about, now that you're healthier and stronger and have more intention with. Okay, so I think that if it is a person from the past, it's either someone that you didn't start anything with before that now you're ready to start in a healthier way. if it's another way, it could be someone from the past too, what was it? Another way this could be someone from the past here is if they have changed significantly, or if you have changed significantly, right? Or both, really both need to change significantly. So another way this could be someone from the past is if you have significantly changed and they have significantly changed, and there's a remarkably noticeable difference in behavior, 180, night and day, okay? And that's another way that you could be working with someone from your past, is if they come back or you come back, or if they not all of a sudden have been in the process of changing 180 and they're now here stronger, dealing with you in a different way from which you can move on from and with. So I want to note that. And there's of course another instance in which you may be dealing with someone from the past. And in that instance is if some of you are late and haven't been cutting these people out of your life that you should have done months ago. Okay. And if you've got someone in your life that's still around that you don't have any emotional feelings about, or that your emotions are conflicted about, you got to let them go. You should have done it before. You got to do it now. So I think that's another note that I want to say. This to me feels mostly like someone new that you recently met since January, or have brought into your life since January. If it's someone old, it's either someone you didn't let go of already that now you're letting go of, or it's a person that you've been kind of working with that now has significantly changed, that you're trying to figure things out with, or it's something that never really started because you weren't ready yet and weren't solid, and now you are to move things forward. Okay, so I want to note that. Anything else? I thought there was one last thought, even though I'm getting to the end of it now. Sure. In what way will these things work out with people, the old and the new? I said they're going to work out well, right? I said they're going to work out well. But does that mean that they're going to, does that mean that you're going to continue on with this relationship that you approach or that you're with? Or does that mean that you're going to find another relationship or something like that? If I had to give you my honest opinion, I think for the most of you, whatever relationship you end up working with at the end of this time period from a healthier and stronger place, if it's new or different, or if you both have changed significantly, I think it's going to stick. I do. I think it's going to stick. And I think it's going to be quite solid here, especially for the next few months, right? I mean, August, September, October is another story, but I think in the short term, it's going to work out for the most of you. Whatever person you're dealing with now, especially if they're changed, they're stronger, you've changed and you're stronger, and your intuition is giving you big green lights to do it in order for you to move on. I should note, however, there are some instances in which perhaps these situations with relationships won't work out. But even if those situations with relationships don't work out, right? If you're working out something with a person, I think what's going to happen is you're not going to be bothered by it. It's just not going to be a big deal, right? You're stronger now. Your worth is not dependent upon someone else responding to you because we've healed and grown. So you're going to be like, okay, fine. This person didn't want to do a thing with me. It's okay. My life is good either way now. I'm strong either way. I would really like to be with this person. It's a bummer. It didn't come together, but whatever. I'll just move on. Right? Because that's the thing that's happening, and life is working out for me anyways. God is on my favor anyways. I'm seeing other good things happen anyways. It's fine. You're going to be just fine, and your perspective is going to be very positive about it. So if it doesn't work out and another person is like, nah, I thank you for XYZ, I'm moving in another direction, you're not going to be devastated like you once were because you are healed. And for others of you, you're going to find replacement's not the best word, but for others of you, you're going to find another option. So for others of you, if it doesn't work out, not only are you going to be fine, but you'll find another option. If you needed an investor, if you needed someone like that, and the investor doesn't come through with the money, you're going to find another investor. You'll find another person very quickly, I think pretty soon, right around the corner here, in order to move things forward. Or if this person you want to date doesn't work out, you'll meet someone else, I think, around the corner too, that you're also fairly interested in as well, or at least you'll have more hope about that too. So I also want to note that as well here, that I think either way you slice it, these relationship things are going to work out in some way, shape, or form, whatever unexpected thing comes up and whatever weird interchange you may or may not have. Like, The relationships are going to work out because they're going to want to be nice to you. They're going to want to be compassionate. They're going to be healthier and stronger, and they're going to continue with you, or they're going to bow out gracefully, and you're going to be fine because you're stronger now, and you may find somebody else not too long from now that is going to be also fine here to move forward. Or if you don't find someone else, you're good. Like, you're good. Not a big deal. You're going to find a way to make it work because you can rely on yourself. So I think there's also a lot of that going on here too. And I just wanted to note that. And that's a really beautiful place, I think, to approach relationships, right? Like, if you want to approach a relationship, you don't want to go to approach a relationship with like, I need you, I can't do anything without you. Like, that's not healthy. If you're working things out with a relationship, you want to approach them and say, I don't need you. I'm good on my own. I've got what I'm going on. I want to work with you. Do you want to work with me or not? And this is what I can offer. And this is what I think you can offer me, and negotiate it that way. And so I think that because we are naturally that way and other people are naturally starting to get that way, things are going to happen just fine. The biggest issue is getting over the first hurdle. The biggest issue is getting over the first hurdle with yourself, the confidence, and getting that in shape so that you can deal with the people. And the biggest issue is being okay with a little bit of a weird inner exchange at first with a person before things work themselves out. But if you can get your confidence up and not let a little bit of like a weird exchange with a person at first to like stop you, things are going to be okay. And I think it's going to come together. All right, and I think that's all I'm going to say there with my notes. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up your inside degree and read that. I like to read your inside degree to give you another opinion on the astrology and on this full moon other than mine. Okay, the inside degrees were not written by me. They were written by someone else, I believe named Elias Lonsdale, who channeled the meanings for each of the degrees of the zodiac from spirit. Okay, this full moon in Libra is at 26 degrees Libra here. So I've got that up on the screen. Okay. Do I want to look at 25? I don't know. I like 25. I mean, they all apply, right? Like the astrology is in motion. So I think 25, 26, and 27 all apply. Feel free to read it. I've got it up on the screen, and pause the video if you would like, but I think I'm going to go with 26 just for the sake of time and various things. So we're going to do that here. It says this, 26 Libra, magical ways of life are just about gone and are returning from a completely different side. So what does that mean to me? That means to me that for a while, the magic had gone out of our lives. I think for many years and decades prior to this point, it felt like, where's the magic in our lives? Where are the good things? Like, nothing's going on. And now all of a sudden it's returning. Now all of a sudden we're starting to see little special magical things, little by little, bit by bit, start to come back to our lives very, very nicely, that are very good, perhaps in a different way than they used to be if we felt it before, but still coming back. Magical, beautiful feelings, experiences, perspectives, and the way that it is that we need. Okay. Says next, the instinctual attunement to nature and to God is being trampled under, but the reclaimed most advanced instincts after individuality had gone as far as it could go are becoming the conscience pulse of the planet in a more futuristic way. What else does that mean to me? It means to me that beforehand, not only was the magic gone in our lives, I think, for a lot of us, but that with the magic was gone, I think we felt disconnected from God, from nature, from the divine, because things, and out of alignment, right? Things just weren't coming together. And because now all of a sudden the magic is returning in our lives, I think starting to, at this full moon in Libra, I think what's happening is that we're becoming wiser, right? Advanced instincts. We're growing, we're becoming wiser here, and not forsaking nature and the divine and all of that and God, but having a more refined vision, a more refined approach to what intuition is, to what God is, to what the divine is, to what the universe is. We're seeing the way the universe works in a different, more higher, I think, way that is actually better, to be honest, here as we move forward. Yeah, and more forward thinking as we move on. Okay. It then says next, wandering from pre-individual states through the maze of individuality into post-individual states. In midstream, it is trying to pass as a fully individualized creature. So what does that mean to me? That means to me that not only is the magic now returning to our lives bit by bit, especially because I think it wasn't there before, and also our connection to God, universe, and the divine, even though it's coming back in a different way that's more advanced and more refined and more mature, if you will. But with this magic returning and this renewed connection to the divine, if you will, we're also learning how to do relationships differently through different states. Pre-individual states, maybe I would consider that codependency. Individual states, when we're individuals. Post-individual is when we can partner with relationships in a healthy way that's neither codependent or neither too individual, but that is healthily in tune with each other. So I think that's also coming full circle and returning as well. Okay. But it is profoundly unstirred by the separative ego fireworks and just waiting for the next evolutionary move to sweep it all away. What else does that mean to me? It means to me here that not only is the magic returning in our lives, and so is the connection to God and the divine, even though it's coming in a different way that's higher and more refined here, that's allowing us to work with relationships now in a very different and healthier way here. But that I do feel there's something, I don't know if hesitation is the word I want to use, because I think this full moon in Libra is overwhelmingly positive. But there is this sense of like waiting for the word, waiting for the next evolution move. We're like waiting for the word from the divine for when to pursue the relationships and for when to work the relationships out in a better way once we're feeling set. So I think there's a little bit of that going on, us trying to tune in to the wind, on when we're ready for relationships here, and taking a minute at this full moon in order to figure that out. It says timelessly, inwardly witnessing the passing of worlds and waiting expectantly, right? Yeah, there is that waiting, hesitating, especially because Libra is a tad bit of a slower sign, being Venus ruled. Timelessly, inwardly witnessing the passing of worlds and waiting expectantly for the time when people, ourselves as individuals and others that we're connecting with, move out beyond themselves and discover that we're all connected. Cosmos and Earth is one. We're all connected. We're all just trying to do life on, figure things out, And we're all lost, figuring things out as we move forward. So I think that's the degree I just feel I like the best. So like right now is that's what's going on here. Magic is returning to our lives after being absent for a while, and therefore a connection to God, divine, intuition, universe, spirit, even if it's coming back in a different and more mature way. And that's helping us now to finally be ready to work with individuals, other people, relationships, companions in a better way, even if we're just waiting just a tad at this full moon to make sure, am I good? I'm good, right? If I go talk to this person, I'm good. No matter what they say, I'm going to be fine. If they say yes, we're going to work, I'm ready to go. If they say no, I'm also good, right? Like there's this sense of like, I'm just going to check in. Okay. And waiting until we feel like we're good and we're more connected, and like the universe, the world, other people, society is turning that way as well. Okay, and then I wanted to read the next degree as well, because I also thought that was very significant, especially the end of it. So let me do that now, even though the full moon is at 26. It says, pursuing what is desired and nothing else, probing, waiting, stalking, strategically watching for openings. So what does that indicate to me? That not only at this full moon is there a sense of waiting, because it's picking up where we left off, of a sense of waiting a little bit to pursue relationships more fully until we know, are we good? And we can handle whatever outcome comes our way and things are shifting. But we're also, I think, waiting to get the strategy, right? Strategically watching for openings. Remember, Libra is a masculine sign at the end of the day. It has to do with negotiations. Like when I think Libra, I think sales, business negotiations, right? So not only are we at this full moon in Libra here, finally feeling like, okay, I think I'm ready to work with relationships and I'm waiting for the right opportunity. But with that waiting, we're like, what's the right sales pitch? Like what is the right way to like pitch this strategically a little bit more, especially because the moon's going to slip into Scorpio right after this full moon in order to bring these things together. So I think there's a lot of that's going on here too. And Libra can be a lot about appearances. What's the best way to pitch this? What's the best way to make this appear? Like, what's the best opening line here? In order, I think there's a lot of that's also going on too. Okay. See, and this is also a weird thing about the past, pointedly intent upon grabbing and holding what you lost somewhere. So that's why I'm like, some of you could be dealing, I prefer new stuff, but some of you could be dealing with things from the past. You got to be careful with things from the past. They have to be changed. Totally different than the way they used to be. And there has to be a totally different approach. Okay. If this is something from the past you're dealing with, you or they cannot do it the same way. You got to come in different energy, different approach, different way, one stronger, more boundaries, healthier. Okay. going for reminders, facsimiles and totems, hungry for proof that it is there, that it is possible. Another thing, that I want to say about this inside degree too, is this line as well, hungry for proof. I think another thing that we're learning, especially as we read further down the inside degree as well, and another reason why we're waiting, right? If there's a little bit of a hesitation before the relationships, not only are we hesitating to get the strategy, the sales pitch right, and whatever it is, but I think we're also hesitating too to come to terms with ourselves and to realize we don't need proof. We're in the realm of intuition with the Jupiter-Neptune stuff and with the opposite point of Pluto, which is very important to me, being in Cancer now with Pluto at the last degrees of Capricorn. We're in the realm of intuition. A lot of times intuitions you can't prove. I just felt like I should say this to you. I felt like now is the right time. I felt like, you can say it. So I think another reason why we're waiting is to come to terms with the fact that proof is not always necessary. Proof is not always the best thing. Sometimes proof stops you from doing things that you need to do. Sometimes needing proof is a cause by insecurity. Because when you're insecure about yourself and your decisions, then you need everyone else to validate. Am I doing the right thing? You think it's the right thing, right? This is good. But when you're secure in your decisions, you say, I don't need proof. I'm going to be fine whatever way. I decide this is how we're going to do things, so we're going to go. So another reason why we're waiting to not only get the sales pitch right, but to stop needing proof. Your intuition is the proof. Your confidence is the proof. And not only is that the proof, you don't need proof because you're going to be fine. You're going to be able to handle it here, especially in the near future. Okay. Says, alone forever, you are deeply seeking the other side of yourself, the inner partner, the true motivating spark. You've gotten lost in the dark, identified with the one who needs and lacks, the one who has broken fragments of experiences. This to me is the past. That's who we've been for the past few years, probably more than the past year or two. But you are hot on the track of any signs that your love essence can be found in another, in a situation, or within yourself. You search everywhere and come up empty. The one inside will be there when the outer versions cannot sate your hunger. And as a last resort, you feel into your own solitary spaces, willing to meet whoever is there and love them with all your heart. So the last thing that I think I'm going to say too is we're waiting. Relationships need to be worked soon. Within a few days after this full moon, you need to get on it and figure these things out. Okay, to more fully complete this new stuff, but we're hesitating before the relationships, and we're hesitating here to see the magic return to our lives, to get more attuned to God here, to figure out our more strategic approach, and they were going to stop needing proof and to realize that we're going to be fine either way and that our intuition is good, and to stop looking for ourselves and other people, to stop looking for the lost part of ourselves and other people. For you to look for the last part of yourself in another person means that you're not whole in the way that you are. And we are whole. We're a whole people. To stop looking for yourself, for other people to save you, to stop looking for other people to make up for whatever you don't have, and to realize that you are a whole person in yourself and that you love yourself. Because how can someone else meet you and love you if you don't love yourself, if you aren't there for yourself? It's hard. Even if someone does love you, if you don't love yourself, you're always going to reject it. This person really likes me, but I don't really think I'm worthy of the love and affection, so something must be wrong with them and I have to keep them at a distance. Another reason why we're waiting for the relationships is to realize that we're whole within ourselves and we don't need another person to complete us, even though it's nice to have other people along on the journey here, that we complete ourselves. Yeah. And as we find ourselves in our own solitary spaces, I think that's all that I have to say there. Okay, now I'm going to pull your card because I think it just came out in like a really awkward way, which maybe has something to do with this full moon energy. Now I'm going to awkwardly segue into the card. Let's do that. Where's my, okay. The card I got is the Seven of Cups here for you all, reversed. What's at the bottom of the deck here? It's the Page of Pentacles, upright. Ooh, what is this about? The Seven of Cups to me is about confusion. It's also a lot about uncertainty here, and it's about confusion and uncertainty. And when it became reversed, and I think the message I got from this is you have to let go of the need for absolute certainty and the need for absolute clarity. There is nothing in life that is absolute certain, and that is absolute, I don't think 100% safe bet. There's a risk involved in everything. There's uncertainty involved in almost everything, and I think a lot of times when we think there's certainty, there's actually not. So I think that that's the message here, is that there's always going to be some kind of risk or uncertainty here, especially I think with whatever we're trying to do with relationships here. And that, don't let that stop you. Don't let that stop you from moving forward here with what's going on. Because if you let risk or uncertainty stop you, you're never going to get more certainty, right? Like, the answer to get more certainty about a situation with a relationship is not to not do anything. If you want more certainty about it, you have to ask a question, right? Like, that's another thing with the full moon in Libra having to do with sales. When you're trying to sell something to someone and they're saying no, you need to ask, okay, what would make you buy this thing? Like, what if I do this? Then would you budge? What if that, like, what if yes, no, yeah, where are your boundary? Where this, so I think that that's the gathering, especially with Libra being an air sign. So I think that's the thing. I want to say from these cards, there's a lot of uncertainty here about how things are going to play out and if they're going to play out more fully here. And I think you need to not let that stop you, because if you let that stop you, you're never going to get a little bit more certainty. 100% certainty is probably not there, but you're never going to get the little bit more certainty that you need in order to move on. And you're going to feel a little bit stuck here. Okay. And how do you move on even if you're feeling uncertain? Trust and have faith. With the Cups cards, I also see that. Trust and have faith, and listen to your intuition, which it all comes back to what I said at other points in this video, because that's going to help. And because I'm telling you, I think things are going to work out in some kind of way even better than you might think, especially next week when Venus conjuncts Neptune and Jupiter here. And to be confident, Page of Pentacles, to be confident in yourself. Another thing that I want to note too is that this is a page. It's not a queen or a king, which are the more advanced court cards. The pages are typically younger. They're typically children, teenagers, in the tarot. And so another thing that I want to note too is that not only do you need to let go of the need for 100% certainty about how things are going to play out, because things are going to play out fine, but there's also a need to let go of the need for 100% confidence. You don't need to be 100% confident and secure, like within your own right, in order to work things out with people. I think you do need to be up there. I think you do need to be 70, 80%, confident, stable here in your right. I think you need to be above 50. We're talking about Libra balance, above 50 and probably the 75% secure and stable here. But you don't have to be 100% in order to make a move. Make a move with a relationship here and bring things together. Because even though I think there is a need at this full moon to kick a lot of codependent tendencies and to stop looking for proof and to stop looking for your value and worth in another person and for another person to validate you, that's a human tendency. I think at the end of the day, like, we're just humans, right? And like Pisces is about compassion, where Jupiter, Neptune, Venus are, we're all humans at the end of the day. So I think there's also a need to don't expect 100% uncertainty before you take action, or else you're never going to get the answers you need and figure out these things with relationships and see how strong you are here. And don't expect 100% you to be stable and secure, like, either, because we're humans, and I think that that's not always, the most achievable to that extent, even though I think you got to be up there in order to move things forward. So I think that's what I want to say there as well. Okay. Because I think there's something still that needs to be worked out after this point, and I think it's a relationship, something with a relationship, personal, and it needs to be done, and you got to find a way to let yourself do it here and to not be afraid, so that you can get some kind of answer that you need in order to more fully move on. All right. And I think that's all I have to say. Sorry, I went a little bit long here. But I hope that was helpful for you. I hope that you all have a good full moon. And I'll talk to you in the next video. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube, subscribe to my channel, share it with your friends, and I will talk to you on the next one.